In Chapter 2, Krishna revealed the eternal soul and the importance of doing one's duty without attachment. But Arjuna, still confused, asks, "If knowledge is higher, why should I fight? Why act at all?" Krishna now answers, with one of the most practical teachings of the Gita, Karma Yoga, the yoga of action.
न कर्मणां नारंभान्नैष कर्मे पुरुषोषुते न च संन्यसनादेव सिद्धिं समधिगच्छति.
Meaning, by merely giving up action, one cannot achieve freedom from action. Nor by mere renunciation alone can one attain perfection. Krishna points out two common misunderstandings. Avoiding work leads to peace. Wrong. Life itself is action, breathing, thinking, moving. Stopping outer work doesn't stop inner restlessness. Taking sannyasa, renunciation of worldly life, automatically brings liberation. Wrong again. Renunciation of duties without inner detachment only leads to hypocrisy. Krishna emphasizes that running away from responsibility is not spirituality. Renunciation is not about escaping the world, but about letting go of attachment while performing duties. The real message: liberation comes not from stopping action, but from acting without attachment. When the Kurukshetra war began, Arjuna was overwhelmed. He thought, "If I drop my bow and refuse to fight, I will be peaceful and guiltless." But Krishna corrected him. Avoiding your duty as a warrior is not peace, it is escapism. If Arjuna ran away, he would abandon Dharma, and the chaos of adharma would spread. His inaction would cause greater suffering. Lesson: true renunciation is not running from responsibility, but fulfilling it without selfish desire. Another angle. King Dhritarashtra renounced responsibility by closing his eyes to Duryodhana's injustice. His inaction did not bring peace, it brought the destruction of his entire family. This shows that refusing to act is also a choice, and often the wrong one. Example: the student. A student says, "Exams are stressful, so I won't study." But avoiding study doesn't bring freedom from stress, it only brings failure and regret. A real peace comes when the student studies sincerely, but without being obsessed by results. The professional. An employee feels burdened by work and says, "I'll just do nothing, that way I'll be happy." But bills must be paid, life must go on. Avoiding work brings more anxiety. Instead, working sincerely, without being attached to promotion, praise, or fear, brings stability and growth. Another example: the parent. A parent might feel, "I love my child too much, so I won't discipline them." But avoiding the duty of guidance harms the child's future. Dharma means acting with love, but also with firmness, even if it's uncomfortable. Krishna's teaching in this shloka is crystal clear. Escape is not freedom. Inaction is not peace. A true renunciation is inner detachment while performing outer duties. Work must continue, but when done selflessly, it becomes worship, not bondage.
न हि कश्चित् क्षणमपि जातु तिष्ठत्य कर्मकृत् कार्यते ह्यवशः कर्म सर्वः प्रकृतिजैर्गुणैः.
Meaning, no one can remain without action, even for a moment. All are helplessly driven to act, according to the qualities born of nature. Krishna tells Arjuna, action is inevitable. Just as the wind must blow and the river must flow, we too are made to act by our very nature. Even sitting silently is also a kind of action, because the mind keeps working. So, the choice is not whether to act, but how to act. Even Bhishma Pitamaha, after falling in the war, could not remain inactive. Though his body was pierced by arrows, his duty as a teacher remained alive. On his bed of arrows, he gave Yudhishthira the great teachings of Rajadharma, Apadharma, and duties of a king. This shows that as long as life continues, action continues. Even if the body is broken, the responsibility of Dharma still calls. Bhishma proved that one cannot escape action. His breathing, his words, his guidance, all were part of his karma till his very last breath. Suppose a person says, "I'm tired of office politics. I'll just sit quietly and do nothing." But doing nothing is also an action, and it impacts deadlines, teamwork, and results. Inaction causes as much consequence as action. Core lesson: we cannot avoid action, because nature forces us to act. Choosing not to act is also an action, with consequences. The real wisdom is not in escaping work, but in doing it with the right attitude, selfless, balanced, and dharmic.
अन्नाद् भवन्ति भूतानि पर्जन्यादन्न संभवः यज्ञाद् भवति पर्जन्यो यज्ञः कर्मसमुद्भवः.
Meaning, all living beings exist from food. Food is produced by rain. Rain comes from sacrifice, and sacrifice is born of prescribed duties. Krishna here gives a cosmic chain of sustainability. 1. All creatures depend on food. Food is the foundation of survival for humans, animals, and all beings. 2. Food comes from rain. Without rain, there can be no crops, and without crops, no nourishment. 3. Rain comes from yajna. Yajna is not just fire rituals. It means living in balance, offering, and contributing back to the world. Farmers plowing land, sowing seeds with patience, and waiting for rain is itself a yajna. When people live responsibly, nature responds with abundance. 4. Yajna comes from karma. Performing one's duties selflessly is the foundation of yajna. When humans work in alignment with dharma, righteous duty, the entire ecosystem flourishes. In short, karma, yajna, rain, food, life. This cycle sustains the universe. Breaking it, through selfishness, laziness, exploitation, disturbs balance. During the Aranyaparva, exile, the Pandavas were sustained by the Akshaya Patra, a vessel that gave unlimited food through Draupadi's devotion and service. But Yudhishthira always ensured food was shared with sages and guests before they themselves ate. This act of yajna, offering before consuming, kept the divine blessing flowing. It shows food is sacred, and when shared selflessly, it sustains the world. Another example. When Duryodhana hoarded resources selfishly and denied the Pandavas even 5 villages, it was adharmic karma. That selfishness broke the cycle of yajna, leading to destruction in the war. Today, industries exploit nature, cut forests, and pollute rivers. As a result, rainfall patterns are disturbed, food scarcity increases. This is exactly what Krishna warned. Breaking the karma, yajna, rain, food chain creates suffering. In a company, employees' salaries meaning food depend on profits meaning rain. Profits depend on teamwork, discipline, and duties done sincerely, karma. If employees neglect work or leaders act selfishly, the chain breaks, and the entire organization suffers. Core lesson. The universe is sustained by a cycle of contribution. Do your duties, karma, sincerely, this becomes yajna, selfless contribution, which brings abundance, rain or food, sustaining life for all. When humans act selfishly, exploit, or avoid duties, the cycle breaks and leads to imbalance.
तस्मात् सक्तः सक्तं कार्यं कर्म समाचर असक्तो ह्याचरण कर्म परमाप्नोति पुरुषः.
Meaning, therefore, constantly perform your prescribed duty without attachment. Acting without attachment, a person attains the supreme. Krishna's point is simple but radical. Action itself is not the enemy, attachment is. Life will constantly require that we act, care for family, perform a job, discharge responsibilities. The real transformation comes when you perform those actions without attachment. That is, without clinging to results, praise, or fear of loss. Doing duty detachedly doesn't mean doing it carelessly or coldly. It means doing your work wholeheartedly, while relinquishing ego-based expectations about the outcome. When actions are performed with such purity of intention, they no longer bind the doer. Instead, they liberate him or her and lead to the highest spiritual realization, the Param Krishna mentions. King Janaka is the classic living example. He ruled a vast kingdom and performed every royal duty, administering justice, protecting his people, and managing statecraft. Yet he remained inwardly detached. Janaka's heart was not entangled in the throne or its rewards. His actions were offered as service. Because he acted without clinging to personal gain or egoic pride, he is remembered as a Rajarishi, a king who was also a realized sage. In the epic context, Janaka's life shows that spiritual perfection is not only for ascetics in caves. It can be achieved while fulfilling the busiest, most demanding duties, precisely by doing them without attachment, just as the shloka prescribes. A teacher prepares lessons, stays after school, and mentors students. If she teaches only for salary or applause, she will burn out or be anxious about evaluations. But if her primary intent is to help students learn, regardless of praise or test scores, her work becomes fulfilling and steady. Teaching becomes service, not a source of ego. The athlete. An athlete trains with discipline, follows the coach's plan, and gives full effort in competition. Whether the scoreboard favors them or not, they find meaning in the practice itself and the incremental growth, thus staying steady under both victory and defeat.
सक्ताः कर्मण्य विद्वांसो यथा कुर्वन्ति भारत कुर्याद् विद्वांस तथा सक्तश्चिकीर्षुर् लोक संग्रहें.
Meaning, O Arjuna, just as the ignorant perform actions with attachment to results, the wise should also engage in action, but without attachment, for the sake of guiding the world. This verse emphasizes leadership through example. The ignorant, avidvan, work only for personal gain, attached to success or failure. Their motivation is desire, fear, or greed. The wise continue to perform their duties, not out of need, but to set an example. They are detached from results, yet active in service. Their actions inspire and uplift society. Lokasagraha is equal to welfare of the world. Krishna tells Arjuna, "You are a warrior and leader. If you abandon your duty, others will follow your example. If you fight selflessly, others will also learn to act without attachment." Example: Krishna himself, though the Lord had no personal duty, chose to act. He became Arjuna's charioteer, a role far below his divine stature. Why? To guide the Pandavas and ensure Dharma was upheld. He acted not for gain, but for Lokasagraha, the protection of the world's balance. In contrast, think of Duryodhana. Every action he took was driven by attachment to throne, power, and revenge. His actions, though forceful, spread adharma, and his negative influence drew others into destruction. This shows leaders' actions ripple outward. In modern life, the same truth applies. In the corporate world, some employees work overtime just for promotion or bonuses. That's attachment. But a true leader works with dedication to inspire responsibility across the team, beyond self-interest. In parenting, children learn more from what we do than what we say. A parent who practices honesty, compassion, and discipline, without showing off, naturally shapes the child's character. Public figures, too, carry great weight. When they act responsibly, through charity, ethics, or community service, society follows. But when they fall into addiction, corruption, or recklessness, they pull others down with them. The message is clear. Wise people must act, not withdraw, because the world follows their example. True leadership is not in preaching, but in living the teaching. And the goal of action is not personal gain, but the upliftment of society, Lokasagraha.
धूमेनाव्रियते वह्निर्यथादर्शो मलेन च यथोल्बेनावृतो गर्भस्तथा तेनेद्मावृतम्.
Meaning, as fire is covered by smoke, as a mirror is covered by dust, and as the embryo is hidden in the womb, in the same way, knowledge is covered by desire. Krishna uses three metaphors to show how desire hides wisdom. 1. Fire covered by smoke. The fire is burning, but the smoke blurs it. This is like when wisdom exists in us, but desire clouds our clarity. 2. Mirror covered by dust. A mirror naturally reflects clearly, but dust prevents visibility. Similarly, our mind is pure, but greed, anger, and lust distort reflection. 3. Embryo covered in the womb. The child exists, but remains unseen. Likewise, divine wisdom is always within, but hidden by layers of material desire. Krishna's message: desire is the veil that hides our true knowledge and divinity. Remove the veil, and wisdom shines naturally. Example: let's look at Duryodhana. He was not ignorant of Dharma. He was taught by Bhishma, Drona, and even Krishna himself. Yet, his uncontrollable desire for power blinded him. His wisdom, like fire, was covered by the smoke of greed. When Krishna advised him to avoid war, Duryodhana admitted openly, "I know what is Dharma, but I cannot follow it. I know what is adharma, but I cannot stop it." This is exactly the veil of desire that Krishna speaks of. And now contrast this with Arjuna. Arjuna too had desires and doubts. But when Krishna's wisdom entered, he surrendered. He allowed Krishna's guidance to clear the dust from his mirror. That is why Arjuna became the instrument of Dharma, while Duryodhana became its destroyer. In today's world, the same veil of desire clouds our wisdom. Take a student, they know studying is important. But endless scrolling on social media covers their focus, like dust on a mirror. Or think of professional life. An employee knows honesty is best. Yet desire for quick money pulls them toward corruption. The wisdom is there, but hidden under greed. In daily life too, we know anger ruins relationships. Still, ego and the desire to control overpower us, hiding our better judgment. The teaching is clear. Desire is not just longing, it is the veil that hides wisdom. A true growth is not about gaining new knowledge, but about removing the coverings over the wisdom already inside us. A discipline and devotion are like the wind. They clear the smoke, they wipe the dust. And only then can our inner light shine freely.
काम एष क्रोध एष रजोगुण समुद्भवः महाश्नो महापापमा विध्येन में वैरिण.
Meaning, Arjuna, desire is the root cause, and from desire arises anger. These are born of the mode of passion, rajas. Know them to be the all-consuming, great sinners here in this world, our enemies. This shloka explains the cause and effect of human weakness. A desire, kama. Desire is a natural impulse, but uncontrolled desire binds us to action and reaction. It is like a seed from which all attachments and cravings grow. Anger, krodha. When desires are frustrated, anger arises. Anger clouds judgment, breaks relationships, and leads to suffering. Rajas, passion mode. Desire and anger are products of rajas, the quality of passion. Passion pushes us to act, but often selfishly, without considering dharma. Mahashano, the all-consuming. Desire and anger destroy wisdom, peace, and relationships. Krishna calls them enemies, not external, but within ourselves. Essentially, uncontrolled desires and anger are our greatest foes. Understanding their origin is the first step to mastering them. Example: Duryodhana. His desire for the throne, kama, was insatiable. When blocked by the Pandavas, it became anger, krodha, fueling the Kurukshetra war. His passions, rajas, led him to commit adharma, harming elders, teachers, and even kin. A result, destruction of himself, his allies, and nearly the whole Kuru dynasty. Now contrast this with Yudhishthira. He too desired the kingdom, but his desire was guided by dharma. His moderation and adherence to principle prevented anger from consuming him. For Yudhishthira, desire served duty, not selfish ends. In modern life, the same cycle repeats. In the workplace, a person desires promotion. When denied, they become angry, sabotage colleagues, or act unethically. But awareness of desire and anger as enemies can prevent such reactions. In relationships, desire for control or approval often leads to frustration. That frustration turns into arguments or resentment. Recognizing the cycle brings patience and understanding. For personal growth, wisdom means knowing which desires are temporary and which actions align with higher purpose. Meditation, reflection, and discipline help us control rajas-driven impulses, instead of being controlled by them. The Gita's teaching is clear. Desire and anger are not outside enemies, they live within us. They are inevitable, but manageable, through awareness and discipline. By mastering our passions, we act with clarity, compassion, and wisdom. When we fail, we become slaves to our impulses. But when we succeed, we discover true freedom. Practical takeaways from Chapter 3. Life is action. Do not avoid your duties. Even doing nothing is still action. Avoiding responsibilities only creates confusion. Facing them consciously keeps life balanced. Perform work as a contribution to the world. Every action affects others. When you do your duty sincerely, you not only help society but also give deeper meaning to your work. Act without attachment. Focus on effort, not results. True fulfillment comes from effort, not rewards. Worrying about outcomes only creates stress and distraction. Led by example, your actions influence others. People follow actions more than words. Living with integrity naturally inspires those around you. Be aware of desire, it clouds wisdom. Desires can blind judgment and lead to mistakes. Awareness helps you make conscious and wise choices. Control anger and passions. They are your inner enemies. Uncontrolled anger destroys relationships and peace of mind. Calm and measured responses prevent unnecessary suffering. Balance action with knowledge, devotion, and self-discipline. Act intelligently, stay disciplined, and maintain a higher purpose. This creates harmony between your duty and personal growth. Chapter 3 teaches us this. Action is inevitable, but wisdom must guide it. When we perform our duties with detachment, awareness, and self-discipline, we live with clarity, peace, and purpose. The battlefield of Kurukshetra is not just in history. It's in our careers, our families, and our daily choices. So follow Krishna's guidance. Act rightly, act selflessly, and act wisely. This is the essence of Karma Yoga, the path to inner strength and eternal wisdom. Thanks for watching. This is Guide to Wealth, where powerful ideas meet practical action.